create business plans to get the financing they needed for growth. She sits on the advisory boards of Future Chefs and Mass Farmers Markets. She is also the senior business advisor for the Carrot Project.
Mouse down below. Yeah.
Julia is also a published author.
Hang on a
Her
second.
first book. Everything good? Is there anything I should pause for? No. Shuffling. Okay, so Julia is a published author. Her first book, The Farmer's Market Cookbook, The Ultimate Guide to Enjoying Fresh, Local, Seasonal Produce, co-authored with Brett Groskall, and cited as a reference in Michelle Obama's American Grown, highlights the joys of local produce and helps consumers make most of local farmers' bounties. And so this is a cookbook that she will be cooking out of tonight, the recipes that you have before you. And we will also have a drawing in just a moment to give away a free copy of the book to a lucky participant. Julia is joined tonight by farmer Mac Scanlon, or Mac. Mac is the founder, owner, and operator of High Road Farm in Newbury, Massachusetts. And we're thrilled to have Mac join us today, not only because we get to use her beautiful produce, but also because she is part of the carrot community. She and Julia started working together in May of last year through our one-on-one business advising services, working on Mac's finances as she is preparing to expand her business over the coming seasons. Mac approaches sustainable farming with a unique background in psychology, sociology, nutrition, and entrepreneurship. And at High Road, she grows high quality, nutrient-dense vegetables through pasture grazing livestock, crop rotations, and amending soils with locally sourced natural materials to transform Newbury's organic waste materials into well-balanced compost for her fields. Through her off-farm jobs with young adults and educational and community programs, Mac has also crafted opportunities for the farm to work with diverse local organizations, including the Newburyport Adult and Community Education Program, Nourishing the North Shore, Newburyport Youth Services, and local public and charter elementary and high schools. So Mac, thank you for joining us, particularly in this busy moment in the season. We're very lucky and happy to have you. All right, so last thing before I turn it over to our hosts, I'm going to draw 2 names out of my bowl of names here. The first I will draw to see who gets a copy of the Farmer's Market Cookbook, and then we'll see who will receive an iconic Carrot Project hat. Don't know if Ginny's video is around. She could model it for you, but if not, it can be a surprise. Oh, yes. All right, so first for the cookbook. Lucky winner is Myrna Greenfield. And for the legendary hat, Deborah Jackson Weiss. So Myrna and Deborah, congratulations. We will follow up with you to make sure that you get your prizes. All right, so Julia and Mac, the floor is yours. I'm going to encourage folks to ask your questions while Julia is cooking. Unmute yourself, fire away. Just remember to mute yourself again at the end, or you can type your questions into the chat field if you're more comfortable with that, and Ginny and I will share as we go along. So yeah, without further ado, Mac and Julia.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm going to go on the assumption that you guys can hear me. Hello.
We can hear.
Awesome. Well, great to see you all, and kind of excited to be able to do this again and have Farmer Mac here. I visited Mac's farm a couple of weeks ago, and she sent me home with some produce, and it was so far and away better than what I was growing and what I was getting elsewhere. So I was really excited. And tonight we're going to make 2 recipes, and I know it feels like summer, and God help us, I want it to be summer, but agriculturally we're still in spring, and agriculturally we live in New England, so we're overwhelmed with greens all summer long. So I thought I would prepare 2 recipes that help us cook with greens. The first recipe we're going to do is a salad dressing. We're going to do a green goddess dressing, which actually uses a ton of fresh herbs from the garden or from the farmer's market. And then it's a great way to dress salads and crudité and etc. And then we're going to do a chickpea crepe, which we're going to fill with wilted greens.
Yeah.
And both of these recipes are actually really versatile, which is one of the reasons why I like them so much. I'm going to start with the green goddess dressing. And the green goddess dressing is a mayonnaise-based dressing. So hopefully you like that. Although I guess you could do a chimichurri. A chimichurri is sort of a similar concept, but it's oil-based instead of mayonnaise-based. And for me, what makes the green goddess so delightful is the tarragon flavor and the onion flavor. So, you know, I have a recipe and I make recommendations on what you should include, but it's really, you know, what works for you. So fresh tarragon, I think, is kind of critical. And then I go for the garlic flavor and the onion flavor. Right now we've got garlic scapes. Actually, so the garlic scapes, and this is great because Mac brought us green garlic. And this is actually how the garlic, can you guys see this? Yeah. So this is how the garlic is growing in the ground. And you have the leaves and then you have the root that comes up. And then this is actually, the plant wants to go to seed, but you take the, it's kind of nice because you can just snap off the scape in the field. And then you have sort of like a preview of garlic before the garlic is ready. And did I get that right, Mac?
Yeah, no, that was all pretty good. Way to go.
Thank you. So one thing I just learned, so a lot of people just saute garlic scapes like asparagus. I tend to use them in place of garlic this time of year because it's kind of nice to have. And they're sort of a pain to cut just because they're all curly Q, which makes them really fun, but really kind of difficult to manage. It's all edible, but I find, so this like little feathery part at the tip is kind of gets stuck in your teeth, uncomfortable. So I tend to, do you do that too?
So my favorite way to eat garlic scapes is like covered in olive oil and roasted in the oven. And it almost turns into like a garlic French fry.
Whoa.
And this is like my favorite part.
Oh,
Like,
really?
it's super crunchy.
Oh, is it
and-
like sort of like shoestring fries or like the
Yeah, kind
frizzled
of.
leeks?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm a little sad to see these on the counter, but I understand.
Sorry.
Okay.
So I have the garlic flavor in the form of garlic scapes. I have the onion flavor in the form of scallions, but you could use chives if you have chives. You could use leeks if you have leeks. You know, it's just getting the onion flavor, which is really nice, in green onion flavor. It doesn't really matter
Julia,
what.
we have a
Yeah.
question about garlic chives versus regular chives. Julia or Mac, whoever wants to take
Nope.
that one.
I'll let Mac take garlic chives versus.
Yeah, so I haven't worked with garlic chives a bunch, but the plant it looks different than regular chives. It's almost like the chive leaf is flat versus like your normal like onion chive is like more rounded and like a tube. But that being said, like garlic chives are really tasty. I just don't personally have them in my fields. Room for perennial crops in the row cropping system is kind of hard, but I am trying to like make more space for things like that.
I can appreciate that. Cool, good question. Thank you.
That was good.
Yeah, because I tend to see those just in like the Asian supermarkets and not often in sort of the regular.
I mean, they're tasty.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I have a recipe with ground pork and garlic chives. It's really good.
Always the pork.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm a pork head. What can I say? Anyway, so we're going to put everything in the food processor. So I'm not worried about chopping things nicely or proper, and I'm just going to sort of chunk things. So we've got the onion flavor, we've got the garlic flavor, we have the tarragon, and like I said, I'm going to put it in the blender or in the food processor, but this is actually pretty tough leaves, so the flavor is good, but I don't know that I necessarily want to eat this tough stalk, and I don't know that it's going to chop. I mean, like it's tense.
It's like a kale rib.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna just put that in the compost bin. But I want to just, if you're depending on where you're getting your tarragon from, you may not need to take the stems off. But just I happen to know that these stems are unpleasant, so I'm gonna take these off. And so we got our tarragon, and then we need our green. It's green goddess, and you know, the best way to get green is either from parsley or spinach or arugula, and that's just going to sort of lock in the color. So we have all of our herbs. This is going to be the base of our dressing, and I'm going to go over here to the food processor, and I'm going to pulse this to get this chopped fine. If you don't have a food processor, it's going to be really hard to do this in a blender. So I think you'd probably be better off just kind of chopping it by hand. But you can sort of coarsely chop it just to kind of get it going. And then I'm going to go and put it in the food processor and make lots of noise. So I'm going to get muted, and Mac's going to unmute, and she's going to talk for a moment.
I'm muted. I can hear me.
Oh, whoops. Uh-oh.
I can mute again.
I think it should be safe, Mac.
Okay, so, all right.
I am muted over here.
Okay. There you go.
Cool. All right, cool. So I guess, does anyone have any more garlic questions? Garlic is one of my favorite things to talk about.
When do you
There are a lot
plant
of
your
different
garlic?
kinds of garlic.
That's a great question. So there are lots of different kinds of garlic. However, like I think most of the farmers I know grow like one or two varieties. It's like you have your tried and trues, your basic ones, but I know most of my good friends who are farmers, they got their garlic seed like from somewhere important to them, whether it be like their college CSA that they held on to and now they've like got a field of that garlic, or like for me, it was from the farmer who was farming the land before me. It was like garlic seed that just came up everywhere, so I saved it. But that being said, it's harder to prove your organic certification when you don't have a seed record in that way. But yeah, I'm curious if there's.
Will you put the camera, switch that over to me? I'll show you. I just want to show you.
Oh yeah.
You had to turn it around. Oh goodness. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, I can be
yeah.
here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so so I've pureed the herbs in the food processor, and they're kind of chopped, but you know, the food processor can always use a little bit of liquid just to help things along. So like I said, the recipe is mayonnaise based. So I'm just going to go ahead and add, you know, a spoon or two of mayonnaise to the herbs just to give the herbs a little bit of something to get chopped with. So, okay, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make more noise again. So you guys, there.
Okay, we're over here, away from you now. Okay. Got it. I love mayonnaise-based stuff. I don't know if you use mayonnaise at home.
Oh, I love mayonnaise.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite type of mayonnaise, Julia?
That's an excellent question.
I feel like you would.
So that's an ongoing question about between Duke's and Hellman's, and we can't get Duke's mayonnaise in the north, so you have to go south to get Duke's. But Duke's is like,
Oh, you have it.
yeah.
Oh
Yes.
man, I'm so glad I asked.
So wait a minute, we have two people on the Johanna and Julia Brigg, both from the South. So I'm curious to know if you guys have the preference on mayonnaise, Duke's versus Hellman's.
Dukes all the way. Julia, I will bring you some Dukes.
Wow.
This is like Southern heresy. So Julia, don't judge me as a new staff member, but I was raised on Hellman's and I just kind of,
Whoa.
but at some point we'll have to talk about mayonnaise sandwiches with folks.
Oh.
Excuse me.
But I do have a quick question, which is I clearly am not vegan and love mayonnaise, but is there a good vegan substitute by any chance, Julia, that you would recommend? I have a bunch of vegan friends that I want to have over for dinner.
Really good question. Too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I know that there's a veganese, which I've never tried, but I would actually do a variation and do this more like a chimichurri sauce, which is sort of like a oil-based condiment. So taking all these chopped herbs, sauteing the garlic in a little bit of olive oil just to take that raw edge, and then mixing in all the chopped herbs and a little bit of red wine vinegar. And I think that, it's not going to be Green Goddess. It's not going to be a mayonnaise based sauce, but I think it's going to be really delicious. Or you could do a veganaise, which I've never actually worked with, so I don't know for sure. But actually, Johanna, you should try that and then let us know how it is.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Cool.
I've actually never seen Duke's mayonnaise before. This is like my
Yeah, I haven't either.
Another
I've never
type
even
of
heard of it.
mayonnaise that was like sought after.
All right, so I'm gonna add a little more mayonnaise. Actually, let me, should I remount this?
Yeah.
All right. Crap.
So this is a little bit off topic, but since we're on the topic of the South and Julie Grigg is moving up to New England, we also want your flour to make good biscuits.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Okay, so all right. So can you all see the
I can
bowl?
take order.
Okay, so I added a little bit more mayonnaise. And actually Duke's mayonnaise is pretty tart compared to Hellman's. So you don't necessarily need to add additional sour cream or yogurt. I've become accustomed to using plain yogurt in place of sour cream, and it's not as rich, which is actually a nice thing for me. But anyway, so it's mostly mayonnaise and a little bit of sour cream or plain yogurt. And I'm going to mix that all together and add some salt and pepper and pepper and a little, oh my goodness, where's my vinegar? I'm going to add cider vinegar because that's what I can reach fast enough. So we're going to add a little bit of vinegar. And this is Green Goddess. So like I said, this is a really easy, versatile recipe. And one of the ways that I serve this also, I'm going to taste it. Since these gals are going to actually be eating this, I need to make sure that it's really good. I can't just like be like, oh, that was delicious.
I'll take a bite.
Wow, she said she was a professional. So I set up a little crudité platter just to sort of give you an idea of what you could do if you wanted to. So I have, radishes, broccoli from the garden, snap peas. So you could just do it like that for a crudité dip. If you wanted to do a salad dressing, we have a lot of salad greens at the farmer's market these days. And actually, I think Mac can tell me, I know that a lot of times we get lettuce harvested in whole heads, and I think it's because it lasts longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the center of the head is like the most tasty, tender thing too. And it's like crunchy and full of water, like romaines. But
Yeah.
The heads that you have right now are baby heads because I just can't get anything to grow fast enough right now.
Yeah.
Tearing through lettuce, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're all kind of like the most outward leaves right now, but they have good texture and good flavor.
Nice. So, good texture, good flavor, really dirty. Well, it's like, if you get leaf lettuce, most farmers are going to wash their lettuce at least once because otherwise they're just going to wilt. That the field heat, if you will, is going to wilt them. So they are going to be washed once, but the dirt's just sort of all trapped in here. So we want to make sure that when we cut it open, and I don't know if you can see can you guys see all that dirt? Oh, let's see.
Yeah, we get it, Julia. It's
Yeah.
dirty.
No, we're not judging. Oh my goodness. This is like, it's grown in dirt, and as opposed to like this fake stuff that we get from California that's grown on plastic and hydroponic, and this is what we want. So we want to cut it open so that we can expose the dirt. And we love you, Matt.
Mac has dirty lettuce. Okay, I get it.
Julia, we have a question from the chat. Do you ever put sugar in goddess dressing?
Ooh.
You could. I personally don't prefer the sweetness, but you know, actually it's interesting because I do find that the Duke's mayonnaise is a little bit more tart than Hellman's. So this is actually a pretty brisk salad dressing. So if it's too acidic, adding a little bit of sugar can be a nice way to balance out the acidity.
I think most mayonnaises have sugar in them.
That is true, but some,
yours specifically says sugar-free.
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And actually Miracle Whip has more sugar than Hellman's.
That's my favorite.
So when you're washing lettuce, you don't want to just sort of run the water over it because all the dirt that's on the top leaves is going to fall down to the bottom leaves. So you want to soak the lettuce in water, lift it out, and that way all the dirt's going to fall to the bottom. And the salad spinner is actually the perfect vessel to wash lettuce. So I'm just going to fill this with water. I don't know if you can hear, they won't be able to hear you, I don't think. Sorry. Okay. So I have it washed, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lift it out. I'm not gonna do it now, but I usually save my gray water to water the garden. I know I'm kind of geeking that way, but
No,
that's
awesome.
what
That's
I do.
Julia's garden is beautiful, by the way.
And then I'm gonna drain this water. You probably wanna wash it once or twice. And then, is it good?
Yeah.
Excellent, okay. And then we can spin it. Oh shoot, where's the top? Here's my salad spinner top. Okay, so what I was gonna do is you could toss this salad and you could also serve it with smoked salmon, which is also really nice. So I think tonight what we're gonna do is have a green salad tossed with green goddess, and we're gonna serve it with smoked salmon.
And would you put the green goddess right on the salad, or are you thinning it out?
I would put it right on the salad, and there's enough moisture on the leaves. Even if, you know what, can you check in that drawer right there? That one right there?
Oh, yes.
Perfect. And will you grab the mixing bowl while you're over there?
Yeah.
Okay, so. So we'll put this nice and dry. And we'll, we can add a little bit of dressing. Will you grab a plate too? Max said to put her to work, and I'm doing precisely that. You earned dinner with doing all this beautiful produce.
This broccoli's really good. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So I use tongs just to toss the salad. I mean, you could get salad tongs if you want. And so I'll show you how I would plate this. Salmon, I would probably put 1 or 2 slices just directly on the plate, and spread it out just to cover the plate. And also because people don't, everybody like, well, I should say everybody, but a lot of people like smoked salmon, but not everybody likes too much and too much intensity. So we can put a little bit on the plate and then put a salad on the side, and that is
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you. So that is the green goddess dressing. You could do it with smoked salmon or crudité. So I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Do you want to grab my phone, and then you guys can talk about how you've worked with the carrot project?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Could you tell us more about your farm?
Oh, my farm?
Yeah.
it was really intimidating to have Julia out at my farm because I moved to this new site like 2 years ago, so most of it's been through the pandemic, so I haven't really had many visitors. But yeah, I was nervous to like make the transition to a bigger space, to take on greenhouses, to have more bills, and working with the Carrot Project, I was able to kind of make a little bit more of a robust spreadsheet and figure out all those problems, which was really helpful. Yeah, I feel really confident now that I have security and like formal numbers. And, yeah.
Great. So did you meet with Julia multiple times or one time, or how did that work?
I Zoomed with Julia. I think it was like throughout an entire year. We would meet like
Yeah.
once or so a month.
Well, we
Okay.
met like right after COVID,
Yeah.
Okay.
so we never
So we
got
were
to
all
meet.
Zooming.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then to meet Julia in person, I was like, wow, this is what you look like. You've been on my screen for a year. Yeah, which was, I talked to a few other Carrot Project alumni about how you did QuickBooks classes before the pandemic. And I almost feel like the Zoom QuickBooks class must make your life a lot easier.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it was a great way to learn all the QuickBooks stuff that you had to teach too, because I could look at my own screen and share my screen, and it was really helpful.
Nice. And so can you just remind people what you're growing and what kind of farm you have and
Yeah.
your markets, just kind of
Yeah, for sure.
spiel.
I think my farm's around 6, it kind of ranges between 4 and 6 acres, depending on like what's cover cropped. But
Mhm.
I do diverse veggies. I used to pasture graze livestock, but I stopped doing that because my vegetables are kind of maxing out my space. And I have a few wholesale clients, a lot of CSA, and I just started doing markets again this year, which is exhausting, but it's good. Multiple outlets.
Great.
Yeah,
So
the-
did it change a lot from kind of pre-pandemic to pandemic? 'Cause it sounds like you moved in there too.
Yeah, I moved
So
in
lots
there.
going on.
Lots going on. Yes, lots going on, but it was all good shifts that really helped me kind of like smooth my operations out. 'Cause
Okay.
it's kind of the same system for everything, but like things go in different places, which is
Okay.
really cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, thank you.
yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm gonna
Yep.
put you back on. Let's see. All right, so, okay, great. So that was the green goddess dressing. The second thing we're gonna do, oh, good.
We're gonna eat it all over here.
That's okay. I can make more. So the other one we're gonna do is the Soka crepe with wilted greens. And actually it's kind of cool because Mac brought broccoli rabe. And a lot of times
My favorite too.
a lot of times when we get vegetables from the farmer's market, what we think of as broccoli rabe or what we think of as kale, a lot of these vegetables just look different. And one of the reasons why they look different is because, these don't have the florets coming out. These are just the leaves.
Yeah.
But, so it really helps to talk to your farmer and get to know them, and it gives you an opportunity to explore new vegetables. So this is the broccoli rabe. I can get the kale out of the way so you can see the broccoli rabe. This does have the stems on it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on the broccoli rabe stems? Do you think these are good flavor, or would you cut them out?
Well, you're wilting greens, so I feel like you want kind of a uniform texture, but you're the chef. I am the laziest cook in the whole wide world. I don't cook things very well. I don't cut things very well. Like there's all sorts of textures that I didn't mean for, but
Oh, got it. Okay.
but you do what you think is best.
So because of the way these leaves are set up, it's pretty easy to cut the stems off and not cut the leaves. So I'm just going to do that here, and then put the stems in the compost bin. The kale, another client of mine is horrified that I take the stalk out of the kale, but again, it's tough, not unpleasant. And, so I just sort of run my fingers down the side and, fold it in half, run my fingers down the side. And I find that a really efficient way to get the leaves separated from the stems.
You're really good at that.
Yeah, I like that idea.
You want to try?
They sell a kitchen tool that does that for you now.
Yeah. See,
Yeah, I can.
you want to try that, Dorothy?
Sure.
I can do it too. Oh,
Dorothy needs to practice. So I have more greens here. So I'm just gonna coarsely chop this. We're gonna wilt this, and when we wilt it, it's gonna cook down a lot. But I just want to kind of give myself a little head start in getting it to wilt down. So I got sort of coarsely chopped greens. I'm going to put them back in the bowl for now. Because they take up so much space, I want to use the garlic. So, you know, depending on where you are in the season, you can use the garlic scapes if you want. You can use, you know, if it's at, you know, if you're at the fall and now you've got the whole garlic cloves, but this is the young spring garlic. So it's not sort of fully bulbed out.
Not yet.
And you know, the skin is very tender, so you can sort of see, you can see the garlic buds are starting to form inside, but you also don't really need to worry about cutting the bulbs in half or taking the skin off. You can just sort of, you know, coarsely chop. My understanding, and I feel like I'm not a garlic expert, so Mac, you can probably tell, but I think that the spring garlic tends to be more mild than the fall garlic, but I tend to like to take the raw edge off. So I'll saute this in a little bit of butter. And so these are curried greens, and I add a little bit of raisins for sweetness, and especially you know, the broccoli rabe has a little bit of bitterness. As we get into the summer, the wilted greens, or the, you know, the braising greens, as it were, are going to get a little bit of bitterness. So it's nice to have a little bit of raisins and sweetness to sort of take the edge off. You could use pine nuts. Pine nuts are really expensive, or you could use sunflower seeds just to give it a little bit of crunch. So I'm going to wilt the greens with the garlic, a little bit of olive oil, and I'm a big fan of curry powder, and it's just, you know, it's not like I want the curry flavor, but I just want that je ne sais quoi, just that little touch. So I'm gonna head over here, and hopefully you all can see my pan. Can you guys see, can you see the?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, and you'll notice that I've got water in my pan right now, which tells me that the pan isn't hot enough. So I'm gonna, you know, obviously I want the water out of the pan, but I'm not worried about wiping it dry, because if there's water in the pan, then it's not hot enough. And when the pan is hot enough, the water is going to evaporate. So it's actually a kind of a good cue to see if the water, or if the pan is hot enough. So I'm just going to let that go. I'm going to heat up my pan. And while that's heating up, get another bowl. And I'm going to start on the crepe batter. So this is a chickpea crepe, and I'm going to use not equal parts. I'm going to use a cup of chickpea flour and a half a cup of all-purpose flour. Uh-oh. Oops.
You're okay. Why chickpea flour?
So chickpea flour is high protein, and so it's actually, and especially for if you're cooking vegetarian, it's a nice substitute. You know, it's a nice addition to give extra protein to a vegetarian meal. So I'm actually, I'm going to serve these chickpea crepes with some chicken. But if you wanted to be vegetarian, you know, you can make these crepes and you have the extra protein from the chickpea flour. So it's going to make, you know, a nice vegetarian meal as well. If you are going gluten-free, I'm going to do half chickpea, or 2 parts chickpea flour and a half a part of all-purpose flour. But you don't have to. You could just do all chickpea flour. It's just going to be a little bit of a different texture. And add some salt and some pepper. So just like any batter, we want to add liquid to this. So we can add liquid in the form of water. We can use cream. You know, if you're going vegan, you would obviously use water. If you're going, if you like the dairy, the richness, you can add a little bit of cream. You want to grab the cream in there? Thanks. She's such a good sous chef. I think we got to do this more often.
I'm sous chef at my own house. My happy place.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of cream and a little bit of water, and I'm going to add 2 eggs. And I'm going to move that out of the way because I don't know if can you guys see everything?
Looks pretty good.
Okay.
And Julia, did you say this was a Southern French recipe?
Yeah, so the original, it's sort of like a flatbread, and they just do like all chickpea flour, no regular flour. And this, by adding the regular flour and the eggs, this is going to make it more crepe-like, so we can actually fold it like a burrito. But if you do like all the chickpea flour and without the eggs, then you're not going to have that same texture. So this is a little bit thin, but I find that chickpea flour sort of swells up a little bit. So even though it's kind of thin right now, I'm not too worried. It's gonna thicken up a little bit. So I'm just gonna let this sit for a few minutes while I cook the greens. All right, so my pan got hot. I turned it off because I was trying to multitask and that wasn't going very well. So I'll add a little bit of oil to the pan. And I will add my garlic. And I'm going to add the raisins and the sunflower seeds. And, because I'm using the spring garlic, I'm not as worried about, cooking the raw flavor off. If I was using fall garlic, I'd probably let the garlic get a little bit of a head start. But I do want to add the raisins to give them a chance to plump up in the oil. And the sugars are going to caramelize a little bit. And then I'm going to add the sunflower seeds so that they can get toasted. How's it going over there?
Good, we're just admiring all the layers of flavor you're adding. Exactly, never thought to put raisins in first.
And then I don't want to put the curry powder in too soon. I want the curry powder to get toasted, but I don't want it to burn. So I'm gonna, let things get toasted in here. And I don't know if you guys can see that the raisins are sort of turning a little bit of a light brown color, and they're puffing up a little bit. And that's just from them cooking and frying in the oil. So I'm gonna add a little bit of curry powder. Gonna give this a stir just so it can get toasted in the oil, get my seeds toasted. And then I'm gonna add my greens. And I'm gonna just toss a little bit of that water in just to help things along.
Julia, what temperature is your skillet at?
So I can't hear you because the pan's really hot, loud, but I hear that you asked me a question. So I'm sorry, what did you ask?
I'm just curious, like how high or low the temperature of your skillet is.
So I am on high, and I tend to cook on high heat because things cook faster. And I'm comfortable with high heat and just, making sure that things don't burn, and, I can walk away for a minute. Not everybody feels that comfortable, so you may want to use medium heat, but things will just take a little bit longer to cook. So, and to that end, I just turned off the heat.
Do your choices about heat influence the type of pan you're using?
Yeah, so I'm using because I'm cooking greens, I want the skillet to be as wide as possible, because I want all the water to evaporate as they're wilting, as opposed to, coming out and sitting in the pan, and then we're going to have soggy greens. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I'm thinking that I want a little bit of vinegar. Yep. Yep. Yeah, so Dorothy asked, sort of the structure of the pan. So not only is this wide, but it has low sides so that the steam can really evaporate. And if you're using a pasta pot, that's going to hold in all the moisture. So it's going to capture it in the bottom of the pan. So you can see that there's actually no water in the bottom of the pan. Everything is nice and toasted, and the greens are wilted. So I'm going to put that aside. Any other questions? I couldn't really hear folks, and I don't know if you guys could hear everything. Any other questions?
No, we could hear you well.
Oh, good. Excellent. Okay. So this is the crepe batter. It's a little bit thicker than it was before. You know, honestly, it doesn't matter too much if it's thick or thin. It's just like how thick are your pancakes going to be. And these are going to be thinner than, you know, if I added less liquid. So it's okay. Not too worried about that. So when I cook crepes, I do want to cook them in a non-stick pan because they're gonna stick if I don't cook them in a non-stick pan. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to the bottom of the pan. And I'm gonna let the pan heat up.
Julia, how do you compare crepe batter to pancake batter?
Crepe batter is just thinner. So, you know, crepe batter, you think about rolling them up with a filling, whereas pancakes, and actually I made, these are corn pancakes that I made that are going to be a nice base for also with the green goddess dressing. So these are more pancakes. They're thicker, whereas a crepe is going to be thinner. I know, I just happen to have some pancakes lying around. I find it's really helpful to use a ladle. So the first one always sucks, so I'm just not going to stress about it. We know that. And I'm going to put the batter in, and I'm going to sort of let it shimmy around the pan. So sort of, you know, the more you let the batter dribble around, the thinner it's going to be. And the thinner the batter, the easier it's going to be to dribble. So I'm just going to let that cook. And can you guys see that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I was going to ask.
Oh, so here, now you have to.
Yeah, Mac, I was going to ask you, we get a lot of questions about how people find the Carrot Project or how, yeah. So
You're not sitting.
oh, all right. I'm looking at Mac. So a lot of people ask me and ask Jeff, who's on the on as well, how people find the Carrot Project. And so Mac, I wondered if you could tell people how we met and kind of what happened after that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I met you like 2.5 years ago, actually at like a mixer that one of the farmer educator programs that I was working through hosted. So it was like one of those moments where I got to schmooze and like reach out and meet people, which was super helpful. And Jeff, who's actually on this call, was one of the first people at the Carrot Project that I like got to work with one-on-one. So I think I had to do some prerequisite program for you guys to qualify for an FSA loan, which was a super helpful thing. And you guys made that process really easy for me too, because getting a loan is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Borrowing money.
Yeah, it was pretty scary, especially like, you know, on the hopes and dreams that you like grow enough lettuce in a year to pay it off or whatever.
And so the FSA is the Farm Service Agency, which is a department within the United States Department of Agriculture. And they offer loans to beginning and startup farmers, as well as all, you know, operating loans, land loans, all kinds of different things. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just a loan, it's like a loan with the government. It's like the most intimidating kind of thing. So you guys made it like approachable and smooth for me, which was super helpful. You want this back?
Okay, so great.
And Julia, is that olive oil in the crepe pan?
Yes, so I put, and I'm gonna do, what? Oh,
We're working on the video.
okay.
There, she's back.
Okay. So I'll do another one because I had to flip it while you guys were talking. I didn't want to interrupt Nat because what she was saying was really interesting, but I'll do another one. So I have a little bit in the bottom of olive oil in the bottom of the pan, and I probably had too much in the first one. So this one is a little, you can see it's not sort of flying around as much. And I'm shaking the pan and the crepe isn't moving. And if the crepe isn't moving, that means it's stuck to the bottom of the pan. So we want to, kind of work it a little bit to make sure that it is moving. And once it's moving, then we know it's not stuck. So it's not moving quite aggressively enough. It's definitely not stuck, but I want to cook it a little bit longer until it moves. See, now it's already moving a little bit easier.
Cooked enough that you can move it or not just choppy. Yeah, there's some place where if it's not cooked enough and you try to move it, it's just going to spread all over.
Right.
So what is that?
So, I'm just shaking it, and the more it shakes, the more it's cooked.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna do that. So now we have, I'm just gonna do a couple of crepes. What did I do? Oh, here are my greens. All right. So we have our cooked greens. We have our crepes. And so let's see. So I'm going to put a little bit of the greens in the crepe, right, like this. And I'm going to roll it up like a cigar or a burrito. I'm going to move this out of the way. So, and then for serving, we can cut it in half. I like to cut things on a bias just because it looks a little bit prettier. I know, I'm sorry. And so you could serve it just like this. If you wanted a sauce, you could take a puree of tomatoes. This is romesco, which is roasted peppers and tomatoes, a little garlic and onions. So I like to put the sauce down first, because when you put the sauce second, then it sort of dribbles all over the place and it doesn't look as pretty. So we can do that, and then we can do that. And so we can serve this either as an appetizer, or, if we serve maybe another piece, this could be a vegetarian entree. You could also sprinkle some fresh chickpeas to, make it more substantial. You could serve this with a piece of salmon. You could serve it with chicken. So you could serve it as a side dish or as a main. And that is our second dish today.
Beautiful.
So thank you all.
How does it smell in there, y'all?
Really good. Delicious.
So cool. Well, thank you. I have to say, this has been fun cooking with you, Mac.
Good.
Yeah. So happy to stick around. Or Julia, do you have some closing remarks?
Well, we have a little bit of time for a Q&A. And yeah, thank you, Julia and Mac, for the demonstration, and to everyone who chimed in with questions. This has been great. We have a little bit of time left over if anyone has any additional questions they'd like to pipe up with or enter into the chat.
And I'm gonna go ahead and cook more crepes while you guys are, so you guys
You can
can.
do some Q&A. Yeah. Unless they're cues for you.
I have one quick question, and maybe y'all have an opinion about this too. I hate my blender and need a new blender or food processor. Do you have recommendations on the best ones out there on a budget?
There's the Vitamix knockoff.
Ninja?
Yes.
Yeah, Food Ninja or whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah. We have that. Love it.
Really?
Did you get that? The Food Ninja.
Cool.
They sell it at Kohl's. It's like a brand that Kohl's, so there's always like coupons and stuff.
I mostly know about them from the infomercials, so it's good to
Yeah.
know that they are legit. Okay, thank you so much. That's really helpful. My smoothies will be better in
I
that.
was able to get a Cuisinart food processor for like less than $100 online, and it's been with us for years at this point. It was a worthwhile investment.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question for Farmer Mac.
Ooh.
I'm curious, I know it's been great hearing like your input about, the flavors of the food and, sort of your process growing the food, but I'm curious if, as you think about your farm as a business, there are any crops that you grow that you don't like to eat, or crops that you don't grow that you do like to eat, and how you make those choices.
Yeah, I think that, what is it? It's like the 85-15 rule. It's like 80-20 rule. I think someone tightened it on me and they did 85 and 15. It's like 85 or 80% of what you grow has to pay bills, and like the 20 or 15 is where you kind of get to play and have fun. The thing that I actually have to grow, but I don't really like so much, is tomatoes. And I'm kind of, I know, right?
Whoa.
It's a shocker.
And tomatoes don't make a lot of money.
They like do and they don't, because I actually try and grow so many of them that like my seconds market is kind of where I make more money.
So what's the
sauce
seconds
boxes.
market?
So farmers will always have like dented, bruised, and damaged fruit, like always. And so I always try and pull them off of the plants and sell them as boxes of seconds tomatoes to make sauce with. And I do this to my CSA customers, to farmers market regulars. I do this to my chefs. Like I'll just like sell in bulk, because everything is just an average, not like the cream off the top, but like an average tomato to make sauce with. But yeah, tomatoes are not my favorite. I like carrots. I grow a lot of carrots and I love eating them. And yeah, I'm a carrot kid.
We have carrot cake for dessert tonight.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if that was a helpful way to answer your question or not. This year, the things that I'm playing with are sweet potatoes. I did really bad with sweet potatoes last year, but I'm going to try it again. Regular potatoes, and I did parsnips this year, which I've never grown parsnips before, but I was really excited about them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Parsnips are delicious.
And what's your favorite vegetable to grow? Do you have one?
I think it's carrots. I think I'm
It's
just like
carrots.
head over heels in
Okay.
love with carrots.
So not only growing them, but also eating them, or just
like the whole life cycle of a carrot. I think
Okay.
that it's
And working
Yeah.
with the carrot
and
project.
the carrot project.
It
I
just
promise I'm not here to just talk about carrots, but I adore carrots. I think weeding, like the first time you go through and weed a carrot bed, it's pretty monumental for a lot of people, because it is trying to find a needle in a haystack in a lot of ways. But yeah, if you take good care of them, the return is amazing. Yeah, good returns on carrots.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Folks have other questions? You can turn on your cameras now. We can see your faces. Ooh, there's Rob. There's Johanna. And there's Jenny.
It does smell really good in Julia's kitchen. I just have to like reaffirm that to people.
Yeah, it's a subtle, herby, yeah, just a nice, very nice, a little bit warmth coming from over there by her. And also sweet. I don't know if that's the raisins.
I think that's a curry powder.
Is that the curry powder?
Yeah.
So I do have a quick question. I really loved that you added raisins or currants to this. I thought that was such a nice addition. It almost made me wonder if you would consider adding like a little honey after the crepes are done, or if that's too sweet for this recipe. Do you think that you went with a savory sauce?
Yeah, I mean, I would add, I would probably maybe a touch of honey. I mean, it depends also on how bitter your greens are. You know, when you have bitter greens, it's like you need a little more sugar to soften them up. But if you don't have bitter greens, you know, I think if you're using, you know, Swiss chard, a little bit of honey might be much, but with broccoli rabe, a little bit of honey would be nice. Even a little chili flakes, just to zip it up a little bit too.
Ooh, spicy and
Yeah,
sweet.
so that reminded me, you said that you grow broccoli rabe, and it's one of, I don't know, it's one of the vegetables that I like. You can, it's hard, sometimes it can be hard to find.
Yeah.
Do you know, is it hard to grow?
It bolts really quickly. Like I'm really surprised this broccoli rabe hadn't like gone by already.
Okay,
And
what's bolting?
okay. So broccoli rabe is one of those like very sensitive vegetables that if it hits its life timeline, its expectancy, like it just goes to seed, and there's no way to save it. There's no way to like extend its life. And with the past like stretch of 90-degree heat, I was really nervous I was going to lose my little patch of broccoli rabe. But and Julia had mentioned that there wasn't any florets or anything on it. It's because I was just pulling the leaves off, trying to hope to stretch its timeline a little bit more with me.
Got it.
To maybe try and promote some more growth, because I'm not done with it, but it could be done with me.
Great.
Mac, is there anything that you've been cooking that you've been growing recently that's extra fun or extra seasonal?
Yeah, that's a good question. I tend to lean on my CSA members to help me learn how to cook and eat vegetables. I'm a very lazy eater, and I just graze all day in the fields and come home and like would eat a hot dog. I'm like very low maintenance. But
Nothing
one of
wrong
my
with hot
CSA
dogs.
members, I know, one of my CSA members, they put actually honey on like raw kale, and their kids just like eat it like potato chips. And so I had to try that recently, and it was really good. I was so surprised that a drizzle of honey on fresh kale was like so good.
Huh.
I know, right?
I'll
But
have to
the
try
question
that
of
one.
honey was like really interesting. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, brassicas and honey, actually, I'm into it. No, right now I'm really struggling because I just eat a lot of carbs. I've been trying to figure out how to put more protein into like my heavy leafy carb diet. And so I was really impressed to see Julia has chickpea flour. That's a good one. I got to remember chickpea flour has more protein in it.
Yeah, I like chickpea flour. Like I make spetzel with chickpea flour too, which is also really good.
Oh,
I love spetzel.
I do too, but I've
Yeah.
never thought of using chickpea flour.
Yeah, well, I do equal parts chickpea and regular flour.
wait, so what's spetzel? I definitely should know this one.
Spetzel is they're German dumplings. They're sort of like
Okay.
I'm sorry.
They're good.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
delicious.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you think you could make them, because I never make them because my husband is gluten free.
Yeah.
I think you could just make them with chickpea. I always
Oh,
thought you
yeah.
had to use flour. You think you could just use them with
Oh,
chickpea?
totally.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you add the eggs and that binds it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Everybody look up, how do you spell spetzel? S-P-A-T-Z-L?
Google will help you.
Yeah, Google will help you, but it's a delicious, easy little dumpling to make. Super.
And that's actually something else that you need your food processor for, because you make the spetzel batter in the food processor. So you make your green goddess and your spetzel.
I hope you all caught that. Julia said that you need a food processor for a spetzel. So you gotta go out and get one now. You have to invest in a food processor.
But just so you know, I've made them without a food processor too, so.
Wow.
Well, are there any other questions before we let the chefs and farmers and Dorothy all go and enjoy their meal?
This is Robin. I'm trying to start my video and it said the host stopped it. Says you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. So here, start my video. So I'm going to escape that. Is that going to work? Yes. I don't know why that happened, but
Sorry, Robin.
That's okay. Well, this was delightful. I really enjoyed it. Inspired me. And I wanted to know, can I get the cookbook at any bookstore? Is there a place to order it that would help a food group that would get money from
Well,
it?
I hate to say it. I mean, it's definitely available in bookstores. It's nationally distributed, but Amazon is the easiest place to get it.
Probably the quickest too. I could start cooking, right? I'd get
I'm
it
sorry?
and I'd probably get it sooner too than if I had to order it from my local independent.
I know, isn't that, I'm like, that makes me so sad, but yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
sure.
Just so you know that the drawings in there are from Jenny Goldleaf.
Oh, that's right.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Really
Talk
cool.
about singing Jenny's praises, the beautiful sketches.
I actually
Wow.
noticed that when I was flipping through your book. I'm like, wow, where do people get sketches like this? This is really wonderful.
Yeah, I think the celery root one and the figs are my favorite.
Ooh.
It
Yeah.
was a really fun project.
Oh,
Yes.
Jenny, where is there any place that people can find your sketches if they're interested?
Ooh, I used to have an Etsy, but I actually shut it down because it's too much work for not a lot of reward. I have a bunch. I stopped sort of selling them, but I have several left over that I would love to
Oh,
offer. So I guess you could contact me directly. I do have a website, but do I know what the URL is? No. But yeah, if you have my email address, feel free to contact me and we can discuss the remaining prints that I have left from a relatively limited print run in 2014 or so.
Nice.
Thanks for asking, Dorothy.
No problem. For those of you that know Jenny, she's going away to the Conway School to be a landscape architect.
Whoa.
So when she's done, she can fix all of our gardens,
Thank
our
God.
yards.
Thank God. Yeah, mine's a yard, not a garden.
weird. They actually did a project when I was on the planning board in Sherburne for one of the conservation areas we have, and they did a great report for us. So it's a great school.
That's really nice to hear. Cool.
Yeah,
I have
everyone,
a
1
question.
year and you can hire her for
Yeah, and I'll be
illustrations or
licensed and everything.
Sorry, Jeff.
No, that's okay. I sort of a farmer question for you, Mac. So I think I recognized the variety of kale you had. Do you have a preference? Do you see a difference in texture and flavor in the different varieties of kale?
Yeah, I wish I knew how to pronounce that really lovely Italian word for the dino kale, but in
Yeah.
my world it's lacinato. See, there's so many vowels in it. I have a hard time unless someone says it at me. I don't know. I think I like to use lacinato kale and green curly kale for different things, but we were just debating at the farmer's market this past week, what was the original kale salad? Was it lacinato kale or was it green curly kale? Because I've seen kale salads either way.
Alice Waters on the horn.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, I tend to like green curly kale for like salads and lacinato kale for soups.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I tend to do.
Not been
And Julie, as a chef, what about you? Do you have any preferences, or is it dependent on what you're doing with it?
So I'll be honest with you, I'm like a food snob and I totally am a sucker for branding and marketing. So I go for lacinato because I think it's fancier. And so I don't typically get curly kale. So it's
the trash kale. See, green curly kale is a staple to the local grocery store I supply. Like
Yeah.
I can sell them cases of green curly kale, sell them lacinato kale, and it's like 10 bunches move in a week.
wow.
Yeah. So I think that, although I totally understand your thinking, the majority likes green curly kale. at least in my neck of the
Or they
woods.
know what it is.
Yeah, recognizable.
Do you have an opinion on multicolored carrots, Farmer Mac?
I have a love-hate relationship with multicolored carrots.
Okay.
I love them and I think that they market themselves. They're so beautiful, but germination in the fields, it's just a far less success rate than your classic orange carrots. But they're just, I don't know, they're a little bit like more wimpy in the field. The orange carrots just show up. It's just, yeah, I love orange carrots. But that being said, I do grow multicolored carrots twice during the year just to like really push at farmers markets, because I don't know, it's like fun to have a little kid eat a purple carrot and a yellow carrot and a red carrot and an orange carrot and a white carrot. It's like kind of mind blowing sometimes.
I think all carrots can coexist.
I agree.
But there's something about the sweetness of the orange carrot, locally grown, are just incredible.
That's awesome. I'm glad that the taste is different for you. I had carrots come out of my greenhouse actually last week, and they were in my CSA share. And I had CSA members email me to tell me how good carrots were. And I was like, wow, that's really nice to hear, because it took me 6 months to grow those carrots. So thank you.
Fruits of your labor, the vegetables of your labor.
Yeah.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
gonna
all.
jump in for 1 second. Oh, sorry, Julia. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just because we are at the end of our regularly scheduled programming. So I'm just going to say a couple of wrap up words for folks who have to jump, though we can hang around to chat more afterwards if you like. Mostly I just wanted to say thank you to Julia and Mac for sharing your knowledge with us. And it's been really fun to learn about seasonal produce, how it's grown by local farmers, and get some fresh ideas for using it in the kitchen. So thank you. And of course, I also want to say thank you again to all of you who donated to support business advisors and trainers like Julia to make sure our farmers are thriving for the next 5, 10, 15, 25 years. And so we can all enjoy this great food and from the vibrant local economy that it creates. And to anyone who has not donated but would like to, there will be ample opportunities. We certainly hope you will join us for our other events in the remainder of the year. We'll be reaching out about that. And you can always make a donation on our website as well. And we'll throw up our website contact info now if you want to check that out. But yeah, just thank you, everyone. It's been lovely. And I hope you have a pleasant evening, and we can stick around for further conversation and questions too. But thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Julia's.
Yes, Julia.
Right.
Good to see all of you.
Yeah. Nice to see you all.
Thank
Someday
you.
and soon in person.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And wonderful to meet Julia, and best of luck to Jenny. And I know I shall see you again.
And it's really good to see you.
Thank
This is a nice way to close my time. And Julia, great job tonight for your first event. So a round of applause for Miss Greg.
was
Knocking it
very
out of the
fun.
park.
Very competent hands, I can tell.
Exactly.
Jenny has been training me very well. She's been working me hard. Tough shoes to fill.
I think I'll stop recording, by the way.